in like now, actually. Welcome to another Run Wild with Us, Ask Us Anything. I'm Lisa Kastner. I'm here with Rod Gilly, and we are here typically along with Ben White and Peter Wright. And actually, a lot of times Cody will join us or Amy, our editors and acquisition editors, to answer any kind of questions that you may have around publishing, the business of writing, um, writing, whatever it is that you may be curious about, we're happy to respond. So, if you do have a question, all you need to do is go ahead and go into the comments section of whatever platform that you are joining us in, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and just go ahead, type whatever question that you may have. I will repeat that question, and then we will then, take turns in responding. So with that, actually, I'm gonna ask Rod. So Rod, how are you doing? What's new and exciting in your world?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. New and exciting. Got a second novel to edit. Uh, Really
Woohoo!
excited about it. The writer apparently has very excellent skills in writing. So,
Mm,
I've seen some editing stuff, but the writing is very, very good. I mean, exceptional. And so
excellent.
I'm looking forward to working on that project. It should be a whole lot of fun. I started the developmental edit today,
Mhm.
and really got into it. It's going to be a fun project, I think.
Very, very cool. That's excellent. Congratulations.
Thank you. And then I'm still writing three different short stories and still working on my novel. and
Very cool.
I won't dwell because I'm not really a negative guy, but
Mm,
I have taken on the responsibility of being the best editor I can be.
mhm,
And I have been for 2 years a writer and I really believe in that.
mhm,
So in my long hours that I talk about all the time, the majority of those hours is either editing or writing.
mhm.
And you know as well as I do, I'm not getting rich. I mean, nobody does in their second year, right?
Right.
So, I do have what I call a day job, self-employed, and I put very few
Mhm,
hours to that, and I don't have a huge income.
mhm,
Well, as you may know, there are people who are happy to judge you.
mm,
But I spent way too, and you may be able to relate to this. I
mhm,
spent way too many years in my life doing jobs in response to go get a real job.
mm,
I wait, I wasted a lot of my life doing that, you
mhm.
know. And just for the record, when I made the most money in my life, I owned a construction company and I made $100 an hour drinking my morning coffee. So there. And I believe in this new career. My wife and I have sat down and had a long conversation about it.
Mhm,
Uh, you know, you got to cut your teeth. I'm a new editor working
mhm,
for a small press. I'm not going to get rich, but I'm learning every day. Even
mhm,
when I interact with the writers, which, as you firmly believe in, it's a
mhm,
partnership. And I
mhm,
learn from the writers every bit as much as I'm able to teach. I mean, it's a two-way street,
mhm,
and of course that makes my writing just that little bit more better.
mhm,
And so I believe in this career. 5 years from now, we'll find out if I'm a fool or not. But I think I'm heading in the right direction. And I don't
mhm,
remember what they call it, but a lot of people start a new business a little bit later in life. And there's
mhm,
a word for that, and I can't think of what it is.
mm,
But, I just turned 59. If I'm lucky, I got 20 years. I want to make the most of them. I
mhm,
love, I mean, I literally love being a writer, and I'm
mhm,
enjoying the heck out of being an editor. And if it proves true, like your life has proven, at some
mhm,
point you were just a young girl with an idea to open up a publishing house. And
mhm,
look how far you've come, and really in a pretty short time, you
mm,
know? So, maybe somewhere I'll never be Stephen King, but somewhere out there in the future, I can feel like I did it right. Or
mhm.
it's just one of many mistakes. I can live with it either way. So, what do you think about all that gibberish I just did?
I'm guessing a lot of people who are watching can associate with a lot of the sentiments. Uh,
Mm,
Most people who are in a role that is a or in a job that is creative based. I mean, you're not
mm.
making a ton of money. To your point, right?
Yeah,
A lot
yeah,
of what you're doing, you're just basically spending every spare hour you got um, increasing or improving your skills.
hmm,
And a lot of people give up real fast
yeah, hmm,
because it doesn't happen as miraculously as it may, you may want it to, right?
yeah,
So, yeah, no, I think a lot of people watching really can associate. So,
yeah. I've got a little saying I say a lot, and I know people like this. There is a balance, a ratio. You reach a certain point of income, and then you have more dollars than cents.
hmm
And I'm not saying CENTS.
no, yeah.
And, if you're in that realm, you wouldn't understand what I'm about to say.
hmm
But anybody just below that and farther, pretty much everybody's just trying to make ends meet these days. We all
hmm
have to pay the bills and put food on the table. And sometimes, for most of us, that's not easy, you
hmm
know? And what can I say? I guess what it is, being a Scorpio or just being an ex-street kid or just
hmm
a stubborn old man. I don't like to be judged and condemned by anybody but God.
mm
One human being doesn't have a right to judge and condemn another human being in
hmm
everyday life. I mean, I know we have a legal system. I'm not crazy about it, to be honest, but
hmm
we have a legal system. But other than that, I mean, just for an example, no matter who I am, do I have any right to judge you and say that you're not good enough?
mm
And honestly, how would you respond to that? If I tried to judge you and say you're not good enough, Scorpio, you'd
hmm
have a response, wouldn't you?
I mean, but that happens all the time, especially in creative roles, right? I
Hmm.
mean, and it's all good, you know. Um, we've had novels that we've published, and we've had memoirs that we've published, where one reviewer called it like the best of the year, and someone else said it was like pedantic, right? you
Oh,
know so it's as Caroline says, it comes with the territory, and she's right. It comes with the territory. Now, does that make it any easier? No. Right? It's just true. I mean, you look at the um what it is that you for me personally, I go back to when someone decides to judge me. I It's my decision whether I'm going to listen to it or not, right?
yeah.
And it's my decision whether I'm going to take it any further than whatever that judgment is.
Hmm.
So, you know, um I I just yeah, that's it,
Hmm.
Um I've had people uh call the work that we do at with Running Wild and Rise, like, oh, isn't that a cute little hobby? Anything from that to people basically like begging to work with us.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had authors who are, I mean, multi-award winning authors and editors who have read our work and turned around and said, I need to work with you, you know. So, it depends on what you want to listen to and what
Yeah.
you right. To Caroline's point, she says we choose to take it to heart or not. 100%, right? Only you
Hmm.
can make that decision. So, I don't know if that answers your question or not, but
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I think I said in one of the previous shows, Caroline has impressed me so much, obviously very intelligent, and she's continuing to prove it.
Mhm.
Very, very cool. But I I guess I'm getting philosophical in my old age. Because, like, a good example is like about a week, 10 days ago, something like that. I was having lunch with a colleague, you know,
Mhm.
and, I'm very proud of my new position. And I'm like, hey, guess what? I'm an editor for Running Wild Press. The response was, hey, I've heard of them. Ooh, that's quite cool. How much do you make? Why does it
Uh,
always come down to how much do you make? And of course, that's none of his business. But
mhm,
what I'm getting at is why is that the defining line for just about anything that a person does? How much do you make? You know,
mhm,
my wife and I were talking earlier. There was this one fella that was pretty wealthy by most people's standards, very
mhm,
rich. Everybody loved him. And he was a terrible, cheating, horrible, terrible person. But he made a
mhm.
bunch of dough. But he was a good guy because he had a bunch of dough. I don't get
Right.
that. As like I had a conversation with a young lady on BookTube where I don't remember what started it, to be honest. But basically, I brought up that little cartoon you may have seen one time or another where a little squirrel tries to eat a chunk of gold that looks like a nut and he
Mhm,
can't eat it, right?
mhm,
And I made a comment something along the lines of, people spend $10,000 for a diamond. They go, buku bucks for gold and rubies. And a human being could live like 3 or 4 days without any form of water. And we
mhm.
spray that on the ground. I mean, somehow that don't make sense to me. Am I
Right.
just getting philosophical in my old age?
I uh I I don't know. I
Well, you're
just
just
a
a young.
uh okay. Just a side comment. So I want to actually thank Artifact Books for hosting the Weird Tales launch, the Weird Tales 100th anniversary book launch this weekend. It was actually an absolutely phenomenal panel. I want to thank Greg, the owner of Artifact Books, for hosting us, and thank Scott Sigler and um, Henry Hertz for being a part of the panel along with me. It was an absolute pleasure, guys, to be there, and I'm really thankful for all the great people that I had a chance to meet and make friends with. So yeah, I wanted to put that out there. And if anybody is ever, if you guys are ever in the sorry, I'm just pulling this up. If you are ever in the Encinita area, I'm putting into the comment section the a link to Artifact Books. Definitely check it out. They have both new books as well as uh, classic and like iconic, anything from books to magazines. So I'd say definitely worth it, and the people are absolutely fantastic people. So just wanted to put that out there. Um,
Very cool.
yeah. So anyway, so sorry to side to go off on a side tangent. Um, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, Rod, honestly, to Caroline's point, everything you're talking about. I mean, it comes with the territory. I mean, it's just how it is. It's part of the decision that we all make when we choose to pursue more creative endeavors, right? And it's those individuals' right to well, not right to, but it's their choice to judge us, and it's our choice to decide on what we're going to do with it, right? I mean, the whole reason that there even is a RIZE publication is because someone called me out on social media and said, what are you doing to uh, make things more equal within the publishing world? And I was like, I don't know. And that's
Mhm.
when I actually started doing research and found out how incredibly biased the mainstream publishing is in, and that the way things are structured and set up, um, it's set up for it to just continue instead of to find new voices. So, you know, uh it was my choice to say, well, then I'm going to do something about it, and then I'll create a press, right? Just like it's your
Mhm.
choice to decide on what stories that you want to work on and what ones you don't, you
Mhm.
know, or even or to just not to pursue it or not. So, you
Mhm.
know, yeah.
Mhm.
Again, I don't
Well, a
know if
while
that's helpful at all,
back,
but
a little while back, I think you mentioned a phone call you had that was very unpleasant. Unfortunately, my unpleasant episode was moments before the show.
ah,
Usually within 5 to 10 minutes after, I can adjust my brain to deal with just about anything. And
mhm.
I came on the show a little sooner than I should have. And I
Oh,
apologize,
no,
ranting like
no,
some crazy fool. But
no, not
normally,
at all.
my wife would tell you I can click a switch and say, you know what? Take your opinion elsewhere. And I'm saying that as
Hmm.
nicely as I know
Hmm. Yeah.
how.
No, you're very very polite. So, and I'm sorry you had to experience that. That's, you
Mhm.
know, it's never fun. So,
Well, I'm
uh,
not fond of righteous people that judge others. And I think
mhm.
it, and I'm going to go on the record publicly, it's freaking amazing, awesome, humanitarian, and perfectly in character that you created Rise. And I think it's wonderful and fantastic. And my understanding is a lot of good writers are getting a real chance because you created Rise. And I applaud you. I think that's an absolutely fantastic thing you did.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, honestly, I'm shocked. There are books that we're publishing that I'm shocked they didn't get published
Mm,
before. Um, I mean, the writing is just fantastic. The concepts are fantastic, and it like I said, it just it really really surprises me. So,
mhm,
Caroline says, Rod, know that at the end of the day, who you are matters more than the money. Not that we all don't need money to live a decent life, but know the truth and always keep at the forefront of your thinking when someone makes a nasty comment that doesn't speak truth to you. Yep, uh,
mm,
absolutely, Caroline. I completely agree. I mean, and
mhm.
again, we decide on what we do with our time, right? We decide on what we do, and what we're going to focus on, and you know, and then you have to know that what it is that you're doing and what you're pursuing is right for you. So,
Yeah. Thank you both. You both are very smart, very intelligent people, which I respect a great deal. And you both are very kind. And thank you for being patient with me being a little off at the beginning here. I'm okay now.
oh
I
no,
got
not at all.
I got
No,
my coffee.
I think everybody, like I said, I think everybody watching, and anyone who's watching this, when it's a, the recorded session, can completely associate with, um, what you just described. So, I mean, I still remember when I was in getting my MFA, and I had a classmate who like completely ripped apart a short story that I wrote, and um, but it and I could tell that he was judging my writing based on his writing. So he was very highly descriptive. It wasn't very action oriented. He used a lot of flowery language. I don't, that's just not my writing style, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But there are individuals who they can't, they feel as though you have to write exactly the way that they write. And I disagree with that, right? I think uh it's our responsibility to learn and understand different writing styles, and that so and then we can support the authors in making their stories to be the best that they can be, what not to be reflective of our own personal styles. So, and some editors never get there, and some authors never get there, and you just gotta acknowledge it for what it is, and keep going. So,
Well, I strongly believe, beta readers, critique partners, anybody, and especially editors. I really believe in order to even just give a light critique of someone's work, let's say you passed your short story to me.
Mhm.
In order for me to be just and decent and right and honest, the first thing I have to be able to do is understand your voice, understand what it is I'm about to read, understand where it's coming from, get a grasp of
Mhm.
that first. I can't impose my style of writing onto what you're writing. Every author's identity is very singular. I don't Clive Barker, Stephen King. They're quite different, both famous, but
Mhm.
quite different.
Mhm.
And Lisa Kastner and Rod Gilly. Well, I won't put myself in your class per se, but I'm sure our writing is very different because we're different people.
Mhm.
And so I would think, even to give a basic little critique, uh, first try to understand the author and what the author's trying to do, you
Mhm.
know. And then if you can get your head in there, then you can look at the story and give it honest, like say even just a basic beta read. But at
Right.
least you can give the author something worthwhile. If you bring your baggage into it, and we talked about editors doing this one time,
Mhm.
if anyone, regardless of their title, is going to try to conform you to what they think it should be,
Mhm.
you don't need their opinion, you know. And then anybody who wants to criticize instead of critiquing, if they don't know the difference, you don't want to hear a word they have to say anyway. Tell them to take a walk, you
Right.
know. Criticizing in any aspect of life, I think is unacceptable. I don't approve of it in any area, you know.
Mhm.
And don't want to be redundant, but going back to Rise, it astounds me that in this day and age, it ain't 1960, 1930, 1845.
Mhm.
Supposedly we advance as the years go by.
Mhm.
Why shouldn't a woman or a black person or an Asian person or a Mexican person have every opportunity, every chance of making it as a white American male? You know,
Mhm.
I don't
Mhm.
get it. We're all human beings. Why don't anybody see that? What are you? Are you African or are you a white guy? The
Mhm.
answer should be on both sides. I'm a human.
Mhm.
Because that's the only thing that really matters. We're all humans. We're all flawed. We're all mistaken. We're all screwed up in various ways. But by golly, every day we're doing the best we can to get where we hope we can get.
Right.
And I think everyone deserves an opportunity to be the very best they can. And I love that is more than just a motto or a slogan with running wild and rise. I know you really mean it. You know,
Mhm.
and I'm telling the audience, she means it.
Mhm.
you know, because, like I said, the Rise authors, extremely skilled, extremely creative, extremely talented people that might not have ever had a chance to get published. I love that you created that press, and Running Wild was doing just fine. You didn't have to create Rise. You did that out of your heart. And I think that is so amazing and honorable. And I liked you to begin with, but now I like you more.
Well, and we've been blessed to have some really phenomenal authors submit their works. And to go back a minute about discovering the author's voices. Ben White spoke about this previously. How oftentimes what he'll do if he picks up uh, let's say a narrative poem, or something that it clearly has a specific pacing to it. So sometimes what he'll do is he'll reach out to the author and ask, hey, do you mind us getting on a call real fast, and if you could read maybe like the first chapter or so, just so
Mhm,
I can so I can hear the voice
mhm,
while I'm going through and editing it. And that is set it's so smart to do that.
mm,
To your point, right? Like, you're not writing my voice, I'm not writing your voice, and I need
mhm,
to better understand, or I need to best understand exactly what your intent is with the story itself. And that's such a smart way to get into that that narrative's into that narrative's voice. Just
mm.
sit down with the author and listen to him. So Renegade Drummer says, hey, I can't stay, but I just wanted to drop by for a few minutes. Awesome to see you. And want to say hello to Anatov and said hey to Caroline and say hi to CJ. Guys, it's all, as always, it's absolutely fantastic to see
Mhm,
every single one of you. If you are watching this and you're new to our live stream, just real fast, if you've got any kind of questions, go ahead, toss your questions into the comments section. We will then repeat your question and then take turns in responding to it. Real fast as well. So I know Peter, just so everyone knows, Peter won't be able to join us tonight. He is actually working, he's head down working on a novel. And Ben is finishing up a class that he's teaching
mhm,
that happens to conflict with our live stream, but he will be
mhm,
back with us again, I believe, in December. If not December, then definitely January. So just
mhm,
wanted to give you guys all a heads up. So
mhm.
cool. I don't know. So and I know Rod, you've really been enjoying working on the novel that you've been working on, and I that
Mhm,
which is fantastic.
mhm.
So out of curiosity, so what's your dream? Like if you could do anything, what do you what do you want to be when you grow up?
Well, the first thing I can say to that is I don't ever want to really grow up.
Mm. Well, thankfully you've got a very understanding wife.
I still play with cars.
Hey, whatever works, man.
Yeah, being a grown up's overrated.
Mm,
But no, in all honesty, and as I said, my wife and I had a good heart to heart sit down conversation. And one of the strongest things in our marriage is that we can really talk to each other. We don't have to
mm,
always agree, but we're always civilized and polite.
mm,
And we really put the cards down and really are honest with each other.
mhm,
And that's one of the things I love most about her because I've known a lot of people in the past that that was not possible, you know.
mm,
And I explained that. Well, she knows for a little over 2 years now. I sat down, wrote a paragraph, fell in love, and I love being a writer. I love
mhm,
it. And I had this amazing opportunity to take it seriously to try to be an editor.
mhm,
I had done some editing prior to it, but there's all that. There's always that. No matter what your job is, you kind of dabble in it at first, kind of get your
mhm,
toes wet, and then you make a decision: do I want this to be my career or not? You know.
mhm,
And my wife and I really talked about it, and I know editors that make considerable incomes. You know,
mhm,
and but they're not a new guy cutting his teeth. Just everybody has to start somewhere. You know,
mhm,
and then as it equally applies to being a writer. There's a lot of writers that make bucks. There's a lot of
mhm,
writers that don't. But every writer starts at the beginning. All of us. We sit down with an idea and we start writing, you know.
mhm,
And so I'm a little farther along in writing. I think, doing pretty well with the editing. I've had some amazing good fortune with the novel that you mentioned earlier, A Slight Curve. It's actually outside my normal genres that I read, and
mhm,
it's a page turner. I love it. I get into it. I really
mhm,
enjoy the story. And I think you said one time it's beneficial for a writer to read outside their normal genre from time to time.
mhm,
And I can see that. I've been very enriched in reading that story.
mhm,
And it's written by what I think is, and I think anybody that reads his book will agree, an exceptional writer
mm,
who's very creative, very poetic, very able to put emotion in his writing.
mhm,
And if you think I'm praising A Slight Curve by Anatoly Malikov, if you think
mm,
I'm praising it now, wait till it comes out. Oh, you're going to see all kinds of videos and fireworks and whatever I can do.
mm,
But just to say though that I feel that I never thought I would ever I think you remember you were on my show maybe that
mhm.
I said I would never call myself an editor. Calling myself an editor still doesn't entirely sit well, but I will say this: when I'm editing a novel, I give it 150%. I do the very best I can, and you know, I hope it's enough because I really do. I think do everything I can do to help the author, you know.
Mhm.
And with Anatoly's case, he doesn't need a lot of help. He's a good writer. You know, I
Mm,
just kind of give him a little nudge here or a little nudge there, and his creativity kicks in and he solves the problem. I mean, I think earlier today or yesterday, sometimes I get foggy on time, you know,
mhm,
he just whooped out a brand new scene, wrote it out of nowhere, and it was freaking awesome. A fantastic
mm,
scene. I thought he was talking about a chapter of his own life. It was so well written. I freaked
mm,
out. And I have the pleasure and the honor of working with an author like that. I can't thank
mhm,
you enough. You know, now if somebody else is going to add up dollar bills, I'm going to say working with Anatoly Molotov is priceless. It's
mhm,
great for my career. It's great for my life. I'm reading something and smiling and enjoying it. You know, I'm going to bed happy at night. You
mhm,
know, when I was much, much, much younger, I had crappy, horrible factory jobs where I came home and collapsed and wished I would die. You know,
mm,
I love where I am now, you know.
mhm.
So, anyway, I think I went on a tangent and I apologize,
No, no.
but having the honor of being an editor for Running Wild Press is one of the best things I've ever done in my whole life. You know,
Oh, well,
it's in the top three of any job I've ever had. And
mm,
I don't give a hoot about dollar bills. If it's meant to, they'll come later. Right
mhm,
now, I'm cutting my teeth and trying to prove myself. Who doesn't do that? You
right.
know, Al Pacino didn't make that kind of money on his first acting job. You know, he
Mhm,
had to prove that he could be Al Pacino. You know,
mhm,
who knows? Maybe someday I'll be rich like Ben.
right. Yep. And Tully says, you've done tons of work, and he's totally honored to work with you, Rod. So,
uh, it's a fantastic team relationship, teamwork on his book.
mhm,
Anatoly is a fantastic team player. I mean, he is perfect for running Wild Press because I know you believe in that and collaborating and working together.
mhm,
And and you couldn't ask for a better writer than Anatoly. He's excellent, excellent. In some ways, he's got more skill than I do, and
mm,
he's willing to work right alongside me, and we help each other. And it's just a fantastic. I'm going to be sad when the novel's done, except when he gets on stage and shows his "Rod is my editor" tattoo. I'll be real happy, but I'll be sad when the novel's done because I've enjoyed working on it so very much. It's a
mm,
ball to work with Anatoly, and I don't know if you figured it out yet, but I like the guy.
yeah,
Do
yeah,
all editors
absolutely.
carry on about their writers that they work with? Is that common, or am I just an oddball in yet another way?
Oh no, I mean, I think that's one of the things that I think a lot of editors enjoy is the fact that we get to discover in some cases new authors who are absolutely fantastic, right? I mean,
Mhm.
to have that gift is just awesome. So
Yeah.
I think it's pretty common. Hmm.
That's like Renegade Drummer. I think that's the right name. I don't
Yeah.
know if she already came and went. It's an extremely talented writer who
Hmm.
needs to believe in herself a little bit more.
Mm.
Uh, but boy, she could be one of the top names. And she's young. She's got plenty of time to get there. She
Oh
just needs
wow.
to believe in herself. That's all she needs to do.
Hmm. Oh well, cool. Excellent. Excellent. Um, so I don't know if any. I know Rod, you had an idea for something that we could uh, talk about, and I think it was uh, the author's experience from like what was it through the editing process through 6 months after the
Mhm.
piece is published. Do you
Well,
want
I
to
hope.
talk about yours experience with that?
Actually, what I hoped, and I'll trust you and Caroline and any writer in the audience to please put something in the comments and let me know what you think about this because I don't know everything. I'll be the first one to tell you I'm an expert of nothing. I'm
Mm,
good at what I do, but I'm not an expert of anything.
mm-hmm,
So it's going to be primarily based on what you guys think. And of course, you, Lisa,
mm-hmm,
always. But I thought it would be fun to talk about the author's journey
Mhm.
and maybe take 10 minutes, 15 minutes of each show for a couple of shows. I don't know. But
Mhm.
I thought it would be fun, not just for me to try to spew what I think I know, but like take little sections. Like, what's the first thing? Well, the very first thing, an author gets an idea,
Mhm.
you know? The very second thing, you sit down to start working on your idea.
Mhm.
Now, I'm a pantser. I would start just running wild with my story. A
Right.
plotter would do what a plotter does. Well, because I'm a pantser, I don't really
Mhm.
know what a plotter does. So I thought it might be fun over a period of time to talk about each stage of what an author actually does.
Mhm.
And please, 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 Caroline, Anatoly, writers in the audience, and especially Lisa, other editors that come on the show. This whole idea is let's communicate, let's talk together, because somewhere out there
Mhm.
there's a brand new writer thinking about, ooh, this show's pretty neat. I might want to be a writer. And like me, they don't
Mhm.
have a clue what that means. And then as we would go along, we're going to get to a point that you surpass what I've done so far.
Mhm.
And then we're going to be relying heavily on your knowledge, Lisa, because you know a lot more than I do. So, like that new writer in the audience, I'll be learning too.
Right.
And and I hope that Caroline would be willing to share her knowledge and experience, that Anatoly would, and any writer that watches the show.
Mhm.
So all the way to the point of you've released your book, you've marketed your book, you've done this, you've done that. I'm saying this and that because I really don't know. Lisa can fill
Mhm.
in the blanks later. 6 months after your book, a year after your book is published, what are you doing and what could you be doing?
Mhm.
So from day one to that day, I think would be a couple of episodes, a small part of a couple episodes.
Mhm.
Now, here's my question to anyone in the audience now. Please respond. Say, Rod, you're an egghead. Say whatever
Mhm.
you want to say, but please respond.
Mhm.
Do you think that would be an interesting thing to talk about? And would you be willing to participate and really help a brand new writer watching this show kind of get some guidance on where they would go? And then, of course, Lisa, what you think about this is paramount. This is your show. So I'm not trying to overstep. I just thought it would be something neat to do.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, Caroline says, "How do the two of you feel thoughts about the drive as writers to write? Do you write because you must write?"
I was trying to be polite, Lisa.
Oh, no. So what are your thoughts? Why do you write, Rod?
I'll be honest, it's almost an obsession for me. Uh,
Mm.
2 years ago, a little bit more, I met an author and I was standing
Mhm.
there holding his novel in my hand. And it just blew me away because I remembered many, many years ago when I was a kid in high school and just beyond, I used to write short stories,
Mhm.
poems, things like that, got published in local papers and school books and, things like that. And
Mhm.
I really enjoyed it. And that was the old pen and paper days. Well, I got about 5 years worth of writing and got a crush on a girl. And I'll make a long story short, the girl stole 5 years of writing. It disappeared.
Mm.
And, we didn't have backup files back then. And I got disheartened. I listened to someone who said, go get a real job, started driving a
Mhm.
fork truck. So when I met this author and I was standing there holding his novel in my hand
Mm.
and I'm speaking to a published author, it was such an honor for me.
Mhm.
And something inside me snapped. Something just said, yeah, you're getting older, but man, why don't you take a crack at this and try to write a novel? So I came home. I've got a home office, sat down at my desk in my office, and I think I cranked out something like 2,000 words of an idea that I had. And
Mhm.
I asked my wife, again, the most honest person I've ever known. I asked her, I said, honey, this could waste years of my life. So give me your honest opinion. Please
Mhm.
read these pages. So she read what I wrote and she said, wow, Rod, keep writing. I think you really got
Mm.
something. Keep writing. And that started me, that started my writing career.
Mhm.
And I sit down. I give credit to being a pantser. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I sit down with an idea and I think about,
That
okay, who's in this idea?
Mhm.
Where is this person at? What's going on in their world?
Mhm.
And then I start typing. and it don't take no time at all, and the story just rolls. And I type as quick as I can, trying to keep up with the characters and everything that's going on. And
Mhm.
for me, it's a super rush. I'm like, yeah, you know, love. I love writing. I mean,
Mhm.
it's an obsession, maybe a little bit of lunacy. I freaking love writing. So I
Mm.
hope I answered the question, but there it is.
Yeah, I think you did. So honestly, Caroline, I think everybody has their own reason for writing. I know a lot of writers who come from a journalism background. Oftentimes, those, uh, so they'll look for um, an offer to, publish something. They'll put a pitch out there, a proposal, and then they'll write to that proposal. Um, I, I think you've got to decide on why you want to write, and then kind of go for that from there, if that makes sense. Um, so Caroline
All on.
says she asked that question because she believes writers are born, not made. I don't know that I agree with that. I think we all create who we are. And, some things come, I mean, yes, some things come more naturally than others. But the best writers that I know, honestly, are deep readers. They really study the works um, that they read to better understand the different techniques that those authors have used, and are really willing to play, right? And in order to build their skills. So, I mean, I can see why you may feel that way. I just don't. I don't necessarily agree, but I don't know, Rod. What do you think? Are writers born or made?
Well, I think that writers, musicians, artists, painters, sculptors, it applies to all the creatives.
Hmm.
I think anyone, if they're willing to put in the work and learn and, accept that they don't know everything, so try to learn everything you can. They go
Hmm.
to work, they can be good at their craft. You take somebody who is not a natural and they are struggling with it, but they can learn to play piano if they really want to. you
Hmm.
know, Piano lessons, lots and lots of practice, they can get there. I
Hmm.
think the difference between a born artist and a made artist, they both can get there. They both can be successful. They both can have long careers. The natural born artist is just going to have a lot more fun with it. Mozart's a good example. What was he, 6, 8? And he's
Hmm.
dancing around on a piano like it was nothing to him, you know.
Hmm.
And then there's other composers who worked really hard, but they were just as famous and just as successful. So I think the big difference between a made writer and a natural born writer, I just
Hmm.
think that one's going to have a little more fun. It's going to come a little more easily to them. But if you
Hmm.
want it, you can do it. You don't have to be a natural born anything. You just have to want it. You have to really want it.
Hmm.
So I hope that's worth 2 cents.
Well, Caroline says, I agree, Lisa, but I think they do indeed study, but they're readers and the two go together. Yeah, I agree. And that the desire has to be there. Agreed. And I think that's true for anything, right? And if you're really going to excel in it, you really need to have that desire, because that desire oftentimes is what will cause you to well, or anyone to really be willing to sit down and study whatever it is that you're into, you know. So um so CJ says that she has to leave a little early this week, but she loves the discussion and will she'll watch the recording. um, yeah, CJ, as always, it's fantastic to see you. And again, guys, if you're watching, we only have 15 minutes left, shockingly.
Wow.
Um, but if you guys have any kind of questions and you're watching and this is the recording, just go ahead and pop those questions into the comments section. I check all week long to look for any kind of new comments or questions that may arise, so that we can then bring it up in the subsequent session. So Again, if you guys have any kind of old questions or comments, just go ahead, toss them into the comments section, and we will, excuse me, go over them in the either this week or the subsequent week. So awesome. So Rod, so your question about like the writer's journey, I think for everyone it's so individual.
Hmm.
Um, you know, I'm totally open to having, each one of us maybe taking a turn um in uh uh one of the live streams to talk about our own personal journey and what brought us to where we are. I mean, I'm
Hmm.
totally that's totally cool.
Hmm.
I'm happy to do that. Um, and then I don't know if the folks that watch or are watching, if you come up with any kind of questions around the writer's journey, because remember, I mean, we're all editors, right? We're all both line edit as well as acquisition, right? And concept edit. Um, but we all write as well. So if you've got any kind of questions around writing and our own personal author journeys, I'd say bring it forward. And I'm sure we'd be more than happy to respond.
Hmm.
So I don't know, Rod, if that uh, helps your thought process or.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, everything helps, right? I hoped that I don't want to pick on Caroline. I keep mentioning her because she's impressed me so much.
Mhm,
But I was hoping that if we went ahead with that idea at all, it would be most valuable with audience participation.
mhm,
Long before I had an opportunity to come on the screen and show my silly mug, I used to fill up the comments typing away because I loved participating and being a part of the show. So
mhm,
I guess I'm trying to invite the people in the audience, be a part of the show. Jump right in here.
mhm,
Feel free to say, Rod, you're a bonehead. I don't care. I've heard worse, you know?
mhm,
But, it's wonderful that Lisa and I can chat with each other, but we could do that anywhere. I'm really fascinated and interested in people like Caroline. What has her journey been? How
mhm,
did she become a writer? What bumps did she had to get over? Stuff like that I find incredibly and fascinating, and I learn from it, and I always want
mhm,
to learn. And I bet I could learn a lot from someone like
mhm.
Caroline, you know, and CJ, and who's another regular? Margaret, is that right? Is on the show pretty often, you
Yep.
know. Yeah,
Mhm,
I'd love to have some format, and it doesn't have to be my silly idea. It can be anything. Come up with an idea, any of you, and I'm open to talk about anything.
mhm,
But I would love to learn more about our audience and have more involvement with our audience.
mhm,
Because quite frankly, Lisa, you and I could get a private Zoom meeting and chat all day if we wanted to. You
mhm,
know, it's the audience that I find so fascinating, and I think, I'll help, teach, learn. I'll do anything I can to be worth being here. But the value is in the audience.
yep,
Of,
absolutely. Caroline says, "So, what's up for the two of you in the next month?" And yes, I'd love to hear. Think it's a great idea about a writer's journey as it may help others. And she says, "No, Rod, you are not a bonehead." So, so what are you up to for the next month or so?
well, let's say till the first of the year. I honestly will be putting the majority of my hours to editing.
Hmm.
I've taken on the responsibility, I've committed to it, and people are counting on me to not only get it done, but to do my very best. That has become, and my wife agrees, my highest priority is to be the
Mm-hmm.
best editor I can and really help the authors in every way I can.
Hmm.
So that'll be job one. Job two, I'm a writer. I love writing, and I certainly want to make time for that, you know.
Hmm.
And well, bills to pay, food to put on the table, things like that. And if
Hmm.
I'm lucky, my wife and I get to go out and look at some Christmas lights and drink some hot chocolate right around that time of year. And then I got the year end close, which is enough accounting work to make your head spin.
Hmm.
And so around New Year's, I'm going to rest for about 3 days. So
Mm.
there's my month.
Oh, well, there you go.
How about you,
Yeah.
Lisa?
I am in the middle of finalizing 3 anthologies, 2 novels, and we are in the middle of going through auditions for 12 audiobooks that
Wow.
so some of them are ones that are coming out in the coming between now and I want to say June, and a few of them are actually have already been published. So we're just basically bringing them to life through audiobooks. So really excited to get these out there. I've been during the week I've been kind of heads down working more primarily on the audiobooks.
Mm,
And then over the weekends I'll most likely refocus on the novels and the anthologies. So um and then once I we have a backlog of full transparency of about 25 stories that we've acquired that we still need to have editors assigned to. So I think once, or not think, I know once we've gotten down to maybe the last 5, then I'll give myself the time to refocus on my own work.
mhm,
Um, but I want to make sure that we give priority to these great storytellers and
mhm,
get them the collaborative partnerships with the different editors, so that we can get their great stories out there. So
mhm.
so yeah, so that's my uh actually more than month, but yeah, we're just making just every day making sure that we make things dreams come true, including our own. So
Mhm.
yeah. Wow, we've only got 9 minutes left, guys. This is
Wow.
crazy. Caroline says most writers have a lot to tell about how they got to where they are. That is very true. It just depends on where you are in your own personal ability or willingness, I guess you could say, to tell your own story. Because sometimes you feel like, you know what, I'm still hard at work trying to make it happen, right? So uh,
Well, a good example of what I was trying to express is like right at the beginning, all of us, no matter what our style of writing is, going to get a cup of coffee, having a conversation, watching a TV show, an
mhm,
idea will just pop into your mind. You've got an idea for a story.
mhm,
Now, I already explained that for myself as a pantser, I pretty much sit down, give it a couple minutes, start, and just go.
mhm,
And I think you said you're partway between a plotter and a pantser. And
mhm,
then let's just say hypothetically that Caroline is a full blood pantser.
mhm,
Each one, or I'm sorry, plotter, forgive me.
mhm,
So you've got a pantser and you've got someone that's a little bit of both. And
mhm,
hypothetically, you've got a full blooded plotter in the audience.
mhm,
That's three completely different ways that we're going to start with our idea.
mhm,
And that new writer in the audience is going to have such a nice look at what might work for them and choices that they might be able to make because now they know those because they've heard them from people that really do it. And that's
mhm,
kind of what I was kind of getting at sharing. And that's why the audience is so absolutely necessary to it because believe me, I don't know everything. Yeah.
mhm,
But between us as a group effort, we could
mhm.
help that brand new writer who's thinking about writing their first novel, you know.
Right.
And
Mhm,
I would have loved to had any kind of help when I started because I didn't have any.
mm,
So yeah, well, that's what I had in mind.
mm. Got it. Yeah. Yeah, and honestly, I mean, every publishing house, it's a little bit different, right? So, and to your point, I think everyone's experience is going to be a little bit different. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to hear everyone's experiences and so on.
I
So,
asked anyone in the audience in the current comments or the comments after the show, uh, let us know if you want to explore the author's journey from multiple points of view,
mhm.
or if this is just a bonehead idea. Let us know, and that way next week we know whether or not to bring it up.
Right.
What do you
Got
think?
it.
I think it's best to let the audience decide if that's
Hmm.
okay with you, Lisa.
Uh, yeah, I mean, that's why we put it out there, right? So, yep. Cool. Caroline says, again, great idea. So, mhm,
Oh.
excellent. All right. Well, with that, I mean, we only have a couple minutes left. I don't know, Rod, if there are any other topics that you want to explore or anything that you want to bring up.
Just, yeah, I don't want to be a broken record, but I do want you and the audience, Caroline, anyone watching. For me, this is quite a high honor. I love that I can come on here and speak with other writers and speak with other editors. I can learn so much by
Mhm.
interacting with you guys. And this is a fantastic opportunity for me. And I just want to say thank you.
Well, and thank you for joining us, and thank you to everybody for watching, whether it be live or recorded. We truly, truly, truly are blessed and to have the honor to actually be here for you. So remember, we are here for you. Um, Thursdays, 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time, and it's to answer any old questions that you may have uh, regarding writing or publishing or editing or storytelling in whatever format and whatever capacity that you may feel drawn to. And if we don't have the answer, because we, to Rod's point, we don't have all the answers, right? No one has all the answers. That person doesn't exist. Um, but if there's anything that we can help you with, just bring it forward. And again, we are more than happy to chat about it. So awesome. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us this time. And again, we look forward to seeing you um next week. Again, 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Caroline says it was as always so lovely to be with you. Same, Caroline, as always, truly fantastic. I great connection to be with other writers and editors. Agreed. So, and with that, I think I just want to say thank you again to everyone for joining us. Much love. Hope you're having an amazing holiday and have an amazing one. And we will see you next time. So,